Hi everybody. This is a video that I had wanted to make for a while, basically about Christianity and the church and eating disorders. I first of all want to state that I am in no way, shape, or form bashing Christianity or the church. I still very much consider myself a Christian, and also I know people who their faith has helped them immensely, not just through eating disorders, but through many other problems. I'm just kind of putting my viewpoint out there because I know for me, especially in terms of trying to recover from the eating disorder, my Christianity and the church was actually very detrimental. Um, I grew up in the church, I went to Bible college, I did everything that I thought a good little Christian girl should do. And just some of the issues that come along with that. First of all, being perfectionistic. I know that for me and my family, every Sunday you went to church. You got dressed up, you did your hair, you went, you sat quietly, and you did the best to project this perfect little Christian family vibe. Um, and that translated for me basically all the way up through college. I had to do this, I had to be this little perfect girl. Um, and then along with that for me came using your talents to glorify God or expand the kingdom or whatever you want to call it. I did choirs from the time I was in 6th grade, I think. My church had a touring choir. I did that. I became a worship leader for a while. And I always felt that I had to perform and perform perfectly, because if I screwed up just once, I wasn't just embarrassing myself and my family, I was embarrassing God. And then when I got up to heaven after I died, he'd look at me and say, well, you know, this one Sunday you missed a note. So, we're not going to give you this big house. We'll give you, one of these little smaller shacks. But if you had done it properly, you would have had this big old gorgeous house in heaven, or something along those lines. Um, and eventually I just became very terrified of God and performing. Then there was also the spiritual warfare part of things. Um, this was the whole, your eating disorder is just Satan speaking to you. All right. I've always felt that the practicality of solutions to actual problems in the church is very, very narrow. It came down to pray. And I kind of generated this belief that if I said the right prayers and I did the right Bible studies, that my eating disorder would be cured. And that's not practical. I know that we were always told there's 3 answers when you pray. It's yes, no, and wait. Okay, well, if you're praying to have God help you recover from an eating disorder, hopefully they're not no and wait. It would kind of have to be yes, and if it wasn't, guess you're screwed. Um, and then also the whole, when you tried to speak with someone and their answer was, well, I'll pray for you. Thanks. I'd really prefer you just talk to me. We don't, I just always felt like you're transferring it over to some third party. I don't know. I even got that from my counselor one time. Well, I don't know what to tell you, but I'll pray for you. All right. Thanks. Okay. Let me know how that one works out. Along with the practicality issue, I know on my Facebook, I had written something about trying to figure out who I was, my identity without my eating disorder. And somebody sent back a link to this article about finding your identity in Christ. And this just kind of goes along with it. Yes, this is a nice thought. Yeah. Is it practical? Not really, because if you don't know who you are as a person, it's really hard to try to figure out who you are in another entity. So yeah. And lastly, the people of the church. This one was always my biggest issue. I tend to be a little competitive, and I always felt that I was in this competition of who can be the most spiritual person, who can have the most faith, who can, be the closest to God and let it show. And it ended up really just having me think that everybody was a bunch of big fakes. The whole concept of, well, I speak in tongues to God. It's my own personal prayer language. I'm like, okay. First of all, not a biblical concept at all. Sorry, but it's not. And it's like, I do this for the church, I do this for the church. Everybody's trying to one-up each other as to who does the most for God. And if you fell short, back to the whole performing thing, you're going to get up to heaven and God's going to be like, well, you didn't do this like this person did. And so for me, personally, I don't know if anybody else feels the same way. Christianity and the church just, in terms of my eating disorder, just exacerbated it, especially when I would try to seek help through that method. So now I kind of feel that they need to be separated. Not that faith cannot play some small part in recovery, but especially with Christian counseling, you can't have that be the whole way you recover, I don't think. At least not for me. So anyway, I think that's all I have to say about that. I don't know. I might have other stuff along these lines that I will record at a later date, but I will talk at y'all soon.